So Baron and Grace are typical bans that come on the first phase. Vox is taken away from Truth of Light, and he's going to pick up the Kestrel immediately because Truth can play a good weapon Kestrel into a Vox.
Look how quick this draft is going on through here. Vox and Kestrel locked in, Catherine banned away. Where are they going with the next ban, Bacon?
There's so many options that they can go here. Obviously, like Squeegee mentioned, because that Kestrel pickup came through, they can't target Truth with that anymore.
Yep.
So they are going to go ahead and narrow down the captain pool. 3 captains taken off the board through these bans. So obviously, Arden going to be a very likely pickup for the side of Nova here because you want to, or maybe even Baptiste, because they can run that as the captain, but you want to grab your captain here. Otherwise, NRG could take them off the board as well.
Yeah, they may take Baptiste here, honestly, because they can flex it either as a captain or as a jungler. But Arden also sounds like a good pick. Yep, they're going to go with the Arden here. So Baptiste is now open for the side NRG. So are they going to pick that? But that also means CP Blackfeather is available on the side of Nova for them to pick.
And also, not to mention, Grumpjaw has made it through all of the bans. Grumpjaw still very available for both of these teams. So I'm curious to see what direction these teams go in. But this is one of the things we were talking about, right? Grumpjaw's made it through, and he's still not a guaranteed pick.
Yeah, he's not a guaranteed pick because of the win rate that he has, suffering pretty heavily in North America with only a 30% win rate in 13 games. Teams just have a better idea of how to play against it, and you have to go the weapon Grumpjaw, so not very likely for NRG to pick it up with already having the Vox.
With the Finn pick here, they have played Scarf, so maybe Scarf can come out, or Samuel here on the side of Lightning T. He does play all those heroes really well, along with the CP Blackfeather. So out of those 3 choices, I think they would pick a more ranged hero. Hopefully they don't do a Celeste jungle, because he has done that as well, and it hasn't worked out as well for them, because Juan will normally do the Celeste jungle, and then Lightning T would like lane glaive in lane. So let's see what they decide for the CP mage here. Might be Scarf though, we'll see.
Is it possible to see a Sky coming on through here?
Oh, it goes with Celeste.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay, so this is, depending on what Nova picks, they could hard counter NRG here, but let's see what is going to come out.
Yeah, I want to see some engage for the side of Nova. They don't really have a way to get onto the Celeste at the moment, so something like a Blackfeather, they're going to go with the Samuel. This could be difficult because Finn is so good against Samuel. Just can stand and build a whole bunch of crystal, a shield, and just stand in front of the Samuel, make sure that those shots are not hitting his backline.
Also, if you can get a great hook onto Samuel and Kestrel, those are 2 very squishy targets that will be deleted instantly. So, our compositions are locked in for our first semi-final here, NRG versus Nova. What are the win conditions going to be coming forward?
Nova needs to not let the Celeste get to late game, because when she's late games, I argue Celeste is better than the Samuel and the Kestrel. And Celeste late game counters a weapon Kestrel very hard. So she's going to be able to poke them with the Finn. So they need to win the early game and secure it.
Okay, so it has to be early game for NRG.
Yeah. Well, it has to be early game for Nova.
For Nova, sorry. Yeah.
Because if they don't take out that Celeste, like CJ was saying, she's going to be able to just stay safe behind this Finn. The damage is going to be soaked up constantly. And then Vox is also going to be a threat that you have to worry about. So they're going to be trying to focus down the Celeste. Vox is going to be untouched. And it's going to become a mess if they can't shut down the Celeste early, and I just don't think they're going to have the tools to do so.
All right, we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. It's just about time to get on into this game. Let us know who you're supporting, NRG and Nova, in the semi-final right now. Hashtag Vainglory. This is going to be one heck of a matchup. Who knows who's going to win? It's time to pass it on to our casters to find out.
Thank you very much, Munchables. It's myself, Dalcy, and Scoundrel tonight for North America. I'm pretty excited about this Nova versus NRG matchup. Both these teams making it to day 2, but only one of them can make it further towards the finals. So we'll have to see which one of these guys can grab some serious points.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity for both NRG, and Nova to get themselves into a position where they can make some maximum bank this week, because you could have been facing TSM or C9, right? Given that that's generally what we seem to find semi-final teams going up against each other with, but you've now got the opportunity, what feels like very level pegging between NRG and Nova, and a team that sort of gets on from this. Yes, they're going to face C9 and TSM, where they have an opportunity to potentially upset the balance of North America by beating them, but just getting to the final gets you a lot of points in the bank as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, as we're coming towards the end of Split 1, this is where the points matter the most. You're trying to avoid challenge battles. Currently, Nova going to take control of the middle of the map here, secure themselves an Elder Treant. Going to be good at just making sure that Lone Delphi can stay ahead of this Celeste. There is a lot of opportunity for Nova to pressure the Celeste early on. Perhaps kind of blocked by Finn if Bradley was to roam down a little bit, but Lone Delphi is probably going to have to try and put that pressure on early if he wants to help Nova have a huge impact this game.
Yeah, my worry for Nova is if this gets late game, and I think I'm going to build on what Suijay said. He thinks, he's saying, Samuel isn't as good as Celeste. Like, categorically, I just think Celeste is a better CP carry in the late game. Samuel offers a bit of utility with the Oblivion, but he's so reliant on playing around his Drifting Dark to be effective in the late game. Celeste doesn't have those restrictions. Even she gets more powerful as the game goes on. Level 8 being a big level spike for Celeste to get the extended range on the Heliogenesis. So, I think categorically Celeste is a better late game CP carry than Samuel. There is big opportunity to put pressure on Celeste as the Samuel though, and you're right. Bradley roaming down as Finn. They're going to do everything they can to shield Lightning T's early game.
Yeah, it was even Juan Hernandez coming down on that Vox to make sure that Celeste didn't get engaged upon by Lone Delphi there, and it is just going to be another Treant going over to Lone Delphi. These are sacrifices that NRG can afford to make though in this early game, because as soon as level 8 comes around for Lightning T, that Frostburn, that Broken Myth starts stacking up. That's troublesome times for this Kestrel and this Samuel.
As this goes later on, Dalsy, you also have to wonder that despite, if Gauntlet is the only way of engaging, how do you force a fight against a team that just practically outranges you, post level 8 for Celeste? You don't really have anything other than the Gauntlet to do that, and especially if Bradley picks up that Crucible in this game, and that'll be able to keep Lightning T safe from a potential Gauntlet engage. How do you actually force a fight onto a team that's going to, especially once Frostburn's finished, make it very difficult for you to find engages?
This Finn kind of just shuts down everything that Nova wants to do, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Nova decide to play around that. They have a lot of potential to siege, they have a lot of potential to really come in. This is a very aggressive move coming from Lightning T though. He might even be punished by it. No, Full Collapse going to stun Lone Delphi and he's able to get back, but now Juan is a bit trapped in lane, and Truth can continue putting it. A skirmish breaking out, Lone Delphi looking for first blood, Lightning T goes down, and it will be Lone Delphi finding the pressure that Nova needs.
Yeah, Samuel does have huge early game presence, especially in the jungle, and it's not something that I think Lightning T can stand up against on a 1v1 basis. You want to avoid dueling Samuel as much as physically possible on this Celeste. The best way to play Celeste jungle, maybe
Bradley's going to go down here. No way he escapes. All right, it's going to be Juan being pressured down. Truth, one more Glimmer shot in the bag, and it wasn't enough to find a kill there. That's so frustrating for the side of Nova that they couldn't find a kill there.
No, absolutely. But they might be able to put a little bit of pressure onto this turret. Any damage done now is something they can cash in later to sort of put real pressure onto that tier 1 turret in the lane. And obviously with the weapon power Celeste, that will go down very quickly if you get the opportunity to land some Glimmer shots onto it. In my opinion, the best way to play jungle Celeste is, yeah, you can sometimes rotate to lane, look for core collapses, but for the most part, literally power farm to level 8. That is where you come online as a Celeste from the jungle. Power farm to level 8. The differences between jungle and lane is your gold income is better in the lane, but your experience income, I guess I can phrase it that way, your experience income is better in the jungle. So you hit your level spike far more quickly in the jungle as Celeste as she catches out Starboy here. He will be able to just back out though. But again, you don't hit your item spikes as quickly. So you trade off getting a high sort of item volume for Celeste for a high experience gain. So you're just going to rush towards that Frostburn level 8, which will be the big spike for Lightning T here. So I want to see him just absolutely power farm his way there, try and avoid any 1v1 duels with Samuel, come in to relieve pressure on lane, but don't make any flashy plays until you know you have the advantage.
Nova continuing their rotations by rotating down through their opponent's tribush. Not only do they gain vision, but they gain the potential of running into Lightning T and still in a way either his front healing camp or his front doubles. And so, this is just Lone Delphi continuing to try and snowball a bit of a lead for himself. You can see that it's only a slight advantage. Realistically, the CS that Lone Delphi has ahead of Lightning T, what they had about, what is that? 7 at this point. Is due to stealing away a couple of the front camps, but more importantly, gaining every middle treant that was available to him. So
Yeah.
there's a slight lead to Lone Delphi. He has got his Frostburn, whereas Lightning T has the gold for it, but hasn't combined it yet. Lone Delphi's building towards a second damage item. He's got a bit of defense there as well. Nova really need to start finding kills, and Bradley might be the target. Oh, he is. That's going to be an easy one for Truth to pick up. And with that Captain down with no fountain available in lane, this could be an easy turret for Nova.
Exactly, and a really good way to punish a Celeste in the jungle, but who will obviously want to try and farm as quickly as possible, is utilize the best thing that Samuel does, which is being an incredible siege tool in the early game with this Drifting Dark, and combine that with the Weapon Power Kestrel who outputs this much damage onto those key targets. It's a very easy siege process here for Nova. Catch someone out with that sort of Frostburn Drifting Dark, head into lane again, over and over, cast it out, and just use the range advantage that you have right now to punish a defense from the NRG side of things. We haven't really talked about sort of we talked about it yesterday, but touching on it again, the talent on this Nova roster is incredibly high. I mean, this is probably one of the most talented rosters in North America, and you feel with a bit more time to gel as a unit, they could be on that level of contesting the likes of C9 and TSM. You know, eventually, you've got some incredible players there. So, you know, if they get...
It's new talent versus seasoned, I think is what I would put it with Nova. You know, you think about Lone Delphi, Troop, and Starboy. Yes, they've all had some experience, but they haven't really had major experience, I don't feel, in the VG8, and they haven't really had their shot as yet. So combining all of them together here, it's huge potential if they're able to mature as a roster. I think that's going to be the major word, though, their Excounter is mature. You know, Lone Delphi, a young player. I don't know much about Truth. Starboy, obviously, everyone knows who Starboy is and what he's all about. So, you know, if they can find some maturity, whether it be in a week-to-week schedule, whether it be just developing as a roster, then actually they have a lot of potential towards them.
Lightning T now level 8, by the way, so he's hit that threshold where suddenly he's going to start having a range advantage. He'll be able to clear waves a little bit more safely. He'll be able to defend these sieges a little bit more readily, and even can set up sieges of their own now as well. Little Starboy walking straight through.
Yeah, but he's going to pop that gauntlet down. Unfortunately, doesn't catch anyone. And that's going to be Lone Delphi pulled into a quibble. Oh no, Fountain gets popped, but they're turning it on its head. Lightning T just about survives with Fountain of his own. Solar Storm won't connect. That one-shot will into Bradley. He'll happily take the shot. Nova, very low. At level 8, Helogenesis does so much work, and Juan's going to find a kill for himself. Nova's in a lot of trouble here. If they're able to push Lightning T off this turret, then perhaps they survive a harass. But Juan is pretty hungry for the turret. He's pretty hungry for Lone Delphi, but he will not find the kill. Now Truth looking for Bradley. It's gone wrong for Nova, for NRG, and Nova might even be able to get a turret off of that.
Celeste looks like she's powering her way to this tier 1 turret to defend, though. She has got that massive range advantage, remember. Don't think she'll get there in time. Little bit of an overextension. Looks like Lightning T's coming in.
Whoop, Lightning T. He's not going to find the kill, though. That is frustrating. You see 2 low health members and you think it's the easiest thing. No, with the Glimmer Shots, with those Malice and Verdicts, it's very difficult to take down these ranged heroes all by yourself.
Especially in that sort of corridor area. Remember, there is a massive thing with Celeste that you do have a cast animation for your Heliogenesis, which puts you stationary for a moment in time. As long as Truth dodges out the initial engage, you know, he then has an easy target for a Glimmer Shot, especially as you know Celeste is mainly going to want to be casting those Glimmer Shots through that animation. So you have a little bit of a time period to land a big hitting Glimmer Shot, and you saw there he was easy targets for Truth, who was able to just snipe Lightning T out, casting those Heliogenesis that didn't have the effect that I think he wanted them to have.
Everyone's grouping up here. It's Infusions just expiring for the side of Nova. In fact, have they bought Infusions yet? I'm not sure they have. Now I think about it. They've just been doing this through pure damage alone, whereas NRG have been infusing, so I feel like Nova and Infuse could really go a long way for them at this point. That's going to be Starboy not quite blocking the Force Accord, but they can re-engage. Lightning T gets dropped. In fact, it was Juan, and now Lightning T's in a lot of trouble. He's up against the Crystal Miner as Bradley gets focused down. That's a double kill. The Crystal Sentry pretty much does the work, and Lightning T's just going to walk to his death here as he gets sandwiched. It's a triple for Truth, and Nova are snowballing this game just how they need to.
I think NRG saw that they had infusions and that the Nova's team didn't, but you didn't take into account the other item spikes that you have to be aware of. Samuel had finished Broken Myth. They blocked out the initial engage. He was able to build Broken Myth stacks quite readily in that fight, and that made him such a powerful tool for Nova in the midst of that very small corridor where he could land some massive hitting Malice and Verdicts. Truth has hit his Sword Blade Tension Bow item spike. He is post level 8, so that critical strike is going to start to apply to his glimmer shots as well. I don't know if NRG took into account these big item spikes that Nova had hit. They just thought, we have infusions, they don't, maybe it's the time to fight.
Yeah, I think that you've hit the nail on the head there. NRG know that they have a good late game. They know that Celeste, Vox, and Finn will all scale into their own right, perhaps just underestimating that they haven't quite hit that point yet. That's a huge chunk of gold going over to Nova, not only in the gold miner, but actually with Truth being able to sneak in, steal all the backs as well. He's put Lightning T behind considerably. It's Broken Myth finished for Lone Delphi. He's already at a point where he is Eve of Harvest is going to be ready for him in the next minute, and Lightning T hasn't got the gold to complete his Broken Myth. Truth's almost stealing away more camps, and you can see that NRG are grouping up as a 3 to ensure that Lightning T get these camps. Lone Delphi should be finishing this Eve of Harvest very soon, and
yeah,
this is a worrying port.
I think what's even more important is this is yet more item spikes that Nova are going to be able to play around, and more time that we're going to have to allow NRG to turtle if they want to try and beat them out in a straight up 3 versus 3. Look at the damage coming up from those Malice and Verdicts. Delphi missing a couple, but lands some big ones onto Juan Hernandez. Oh, Truth as well. One shot, one kill.
Wow, Lightning T goes right down, but this turret is just getting harassed right out. Starboy has his gauntlet. Nova are unlikely to just go for a full-on turret dive without their minions here. Minions are currently at the halfway point, but they can move over and take the Crystal Sentry instead. Lightning T finally completes that Broken Myth for himself, but Lone Delphi is only 200 gold away from completing his Eve of Harvest and maintaining an item advantage over his counterpart here. Pretty insane stuff for the side of Nova, and you have to wonder if NRG, you know, I think the one thing I want to focus on is actually just Bradley more than anything. You know, this Finn needs to be a tanky frontline for his double range. That's the way this composition works, and he hasn't hit a point where he's tanky whatsoever.
Also, categorically, if you give a CP jungler with a Frostburner lead, Finn is such an easy soak for Broken Myth stacks. Also, you know, ability for him to slow him down in the midst of these team fights. Finn is like prime targets for the likes of Celeste with Frostburn and Samuel with Frostburn to literally sit there and get free stacks, because he's such a big character model, he's so slow, Frostburn makes him even worse, and that's an easy place for Lone Delphi to build up stacks and then turn his eye onto trying to hit Lightning T or Juan Hernandez during Drifting Dark. So yeah, you're right, Bradley has been a bit of a fallback here, or sorry, a bit of a I guess a drag. I'm trying to think of the word to like.
A sponge. He's just a sponge.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's not a sponge that's, you know, taking all the damage and then spitting it out again. He's just, you know,
a dead weight. I was looking for the word dead weight. He's a little bit like a dead weight, because he's not really offering much right now, apart from soaking up a little bit of poke through the use of his polite company. But otherwise, he's basically giving free stacks over to Lone Delphi. Truth has finished up the Tornado Trigger, gives the highest amount of critical strike in this particular build path, and gives him some ability to rely on basic attacks when he doesn't have the opportunity to use those glimmer shots. So he's now pretty much at full weapon power build here, Dalsy, and pretty much you'd say that Lone Delphi now sitting at his full build as well. So this is a full built Nova squad looking to siege onto this tier 2 turret.
Certainly is, and yesterday we saw Bradley be so impactful. Oh no, never mind, that's a gauntlet catching out Lightning T, and he gets disassembled, completely destroyed there. Sleep puts one down, and that's going to be an ace coming out for Nova, as Bradley just couldn't do enough to save his roster. Had the Crucible up, not entirely sure why it was not used. Turret goes down, Nova looking for a second.
What I really like about what Nova do is how efficiently they fight around those big item spikes that we talked about. Truth now, full item build. It was so easy for Nova to force the fight there. Again, the gauntlet, you look to the gauntlet from Starboy, that categorically won the fight from the outset, but also the position of Truth. Knew exactly
no! Lightning T just walked straight into an active camo trap of a weapon power Kestrel. Now Juan is dead. That's going to be the Crucible actually saving his life, but Bradley will go down. Nova have a minion wave crashing in as well. well. I wonder if they stick around, take a turret, or if they just decide to go back and get the Kraken.
I think they go and get the Kraken here, probably the safest option for them. I think also you have to point fingers to Bradley. That gauntlet could have been avoided. I don't know whether it would have saved Celeste. Yes, he would have saved the stun, but I think she still would have been chased down by Truth in the active camo. Truth's positioning there as well, caught out Lightning T. If you can get Truth into the range of Lightning T, especially at this point in the game, Lightning T goes down in an instant. The Celeste ultimate comes out.
It's alright.
Doesn't get it. The real advantages for Lightning T would have been if he has complete vision of the Nova roster and can use that excellent range advantage of the Heliogenesis. The problem is that he's so far behind that even with that range advantage, he's not getting enough work done. And even if he could, Starboy is still finding the engages with the Gauntlet. That's like you know, we said at the start of the game, Dallas, we said one of the only ways to capitalize for Nova is using the Gauntlet from Martin. Well, Starboy is using it pretty well.
Certainly is. Now Nova with a Kraken going to push into the base. 2 Vein Crystal turrets separating them from victory here in game 1, and it's looked so clean so far for this roster of talent. Currently just gearing up, ready to start taking these turrets. Lightning T trying to do some poke damage. That's going to be a force to call, just completely dodge. Good. Crucible will dodge out, but it's not enough to keep Juan alive. He just drops right where he stands. Truth dives on and finds himself a double kill. Doesn't even care about the staircase and the damage it puts out. He is happy to dive it. That's the ace. That's Nova taking the Vein Crystal and securing game 1.
Damn, what a performance from Nova in this game. Took the advantages that they saw in the early game and ran with it. They played around the fact that they had serious item spikes at every major team fight that they took throughout this game. NRG made a mistake around level 8 that they had those infusions. They thought they could fight against a completed Broken Myth and Lone Delphi. They could not categorically.